Hey, this is Basketball Talk 77, and today's video are my Eastern Conference power rankings. It's been a while since I posted, but this is just my full thoughts on every team and where they will stand in the standings for the 2021-2022 season. So I think I'll just start in the Eastern Conference. I'll go bottom to top, so 15th seed to 1 seed. Disclaimer, these are not really serious takes like they will be later in the season. Power rankings aren't that helpful for predictive power. Even the first 10 games of seeing a team helps you see how they're really going to be. And so this overall isn't too valuable in terms of how accurate they're going to be. So don't come later saying that some of these predictions are really bad, because almost all of them probably will be. But there's really nothing you can do about that. It's mostly just for fun to get excited about all the question marks of the next NBA season and our first thoughts about them. Anyway, I'll get into it. Starting the Eastern Conference, the 15th seed is going to be the Magic. They aren't trying to win. They'll probably tank for whoever's going to be the top player in the draft this next season. I don't imagine seeing anything from them. I think they'll be around 20 wins, anywhere 14th or 15th seed. The ranges are pretty important too, generally where they're going to be. So they'd be between 14th and 15th seed. But yeah, they're not trying to win. The next team, 14th seed, is the Pistons. Again, they're not actually trying to win that much, but it'll be a great team building year for all those players. Cade Cunningham will definitely add enough wins, probably to be the 14th seed, but nothing else, nothing more special than that. Next team is the Cavs. They've made a few trades that I think will help them, and I think they'll just develop as a core. And so, it's nothing too impressive being a 13th seed. So, nothing really to say about them. 12th seed is the Raptors. Toronto's had a historic fall off. I just don't think they're going to be good enough. They've gotten a few good players in the draft, but nothing that will contribute to wins right now, I don't think. And I think they need a major scorer or number one option. They wanted to be a little bit higher in the draft, but I think they're going to be that middle area again. Next is 11th seeded Pacers. I don't really like making this call because last year they were bad, but last year was weird for a lot of generally good Eastern Conference teams that just turned out to be bad that season, and it could have been because of the whole hiatus situation and how people were obviously going out. You can't really judge too much from last season, but at least from what we've seen, there's too many good teams in the East. I will say, for the entire Eastern Conference, it looks like they could be the better conference, which is kind of crazy. Mostly because of Western injuries, but whatever. Anyway, next is a pretty similar team, the Celtics. Celtics have again fallen off. They were usually a good Eastern Conference contender, but I think they're going to continue their path of developing. They lost Kemba Walker, and really they don't look like they're going to try to win. Again, it's so tough to be in the Eastern Conference this year, tougher than it usually is, and I just don't think they're going to be able to be that good. You'll have to hear what Brad Stevens thinks, because last year he thought they were going to be bad, and they were. So, whatever he says is probably true. Anyway, I've kind of lost count here. No, 9th seed is the Wizards. They're going to be around 40 wins. The Celtics and Pacers are going to be a little under 500. The Wizards I see from being either a 7th to 10th seed. The Wizards, again, I've already said that I don't fully agree with the Wizards' moves. I'm a Wizards fan, and I saw no reason to trade Russell Westbrook. He seemed like he'd be fine staying there, and we didn't really get that much for him that could really be successful. So we have Bradley Beal and a bunch of good starters. We don't really have a playmaker anymore, and so I don't really like that too much. So I see us being mid, but not great. Next team is probably going to be the 8th seeded Hornets. Now, I'm a believer in the Hornets. I think that they have great team chemistry. They've got good ball movement, and they've got great commentators who obviously at least generate 10 wins per season. So I think they'll be pretty good. Again, a little bit above 500 I see for them, but the Hornets could be all over the place, depending on how good their chemistry is, depending on how much their younger players develop, how much Gordon Hayward plays. It'll be anywhere from the 5th seed to a 10th seed, so we'll have to see with them. Next is the 7th seeded Heat. Again, it's a little controversial. I have a hard time making this choice because the Heat have been good in the past, but I just don't see them competing in a tough Eastern Conference. The question is, was last year a fluke or was 2 years ago a fluke? And I guess I'm kind of betting that 2 years ago is a fluke. I see them as being like a 48-34 team, playoff team, but nothing special. They might make an upset or two in the playoffs, who knows, but I don't see them being a regular season juggernaut, and I don't think they've ever have been. Next team is the 6th seed Sixers. Now, this is probably, what am I talking about? This could be a controversial one because the Sixers are the 1st seed last year, so it's kind of crazy they'd be the 6th seed this year, but I'm betting all of this prediction on chemistry issues. The fact that Ben Simmons seems unwilling to play but can't be traded means that, this is new ground in terms of, new territory in terms of the team-manager relationship. And so, I don't know what will come of this situation, but it seems clear right now that whole thing is going to destroy the chemistry for the Sixers and it could really hurt them. Plus, despite not being able to shoot at all, Ben Simmons did really help the Sixers in a lot of ways. So the actual team quantifiable value of him not playing as it looks right now is going to hurt them, or maybe not playing as well. Next seed is the 5 seed. I choose the Knicks. Now, all the choice that I made here is off a Bill Simmons podcast, so kudos to him for doing that. But what I heard is that one of the things that made the Knicks so good last year, or so much better than they usually are, because they didn't have any big name people they were trying to chase. They didn't have any drama. And I think with Kemba Walker being back, I think the drama is going to be back. I think that the thing that brought the Knicks together last year was the fact that, all these players were selfless. They weren't known as being good. Julius Randle, he wasn't a star. He wasn't thought of as a good player. RJ Barrett was coming off bad seasons where he wasn't thought of as that good. Nobody was thinking of themselves as an MVP. And that's what made them so good, their selflessness. And I think with big-name stars and big-name players coming to their team, part of that is going to go away, and that's too bad. But I think they're not going to get that much worse, but the East has gotten better, so they'll be a 5th seed. I see them as being like a 50-win team, just barely, and anywhere between the 3rd seed and the 6th seed for me. Next is the 4th-seeded Hawks. I'm a believer in the Hawks, mostly because I'm a believer in DeAndre Hunter. Now, he's the most underrated player in the league. No one knows, except for a handful of people, apparently, it seems like, that DeAndre Hunter averaged 17 points per game with good defense last year for the Hawks, and he was a major help. Of course, he got injured halfway through, so he wasn't able to play for a lot of the season, but he has the potential to be the 3rd best player on that team scoring-wise, and with his good defense, 3rd best player overall. So I think that him not being injured is definitely going to help the Hawks. On top of that, the fact that they're going to be late-season Hawks last year, who were one of the better teams in the East anyway, and I could see them winning roughly 50 games. Now, I could see them being anywhere between the 2 seed, kind of crazy, but yes, the 2 seed and the 5 seed. But they could be all over the place. Depends on how much they mash. Next team is the Bulls. I see the Bulls as the 3rd seed with mid 50 wins, like 55 wins roughly. Now, I'm not sure about the Bulls because they're a new team with so many new players, and they could be anywhere from the 3rd seed to the 5 seed. However, what we've seen from preseason, we can take a few takeaways. Number 1, they're going to be one of the best ball movement teams, playmaking teams, and just general offensive teams in the league. I see them being top 10 or even top 5 in offense next year. As for their defense, it's probably going to be bottom 10 or bottom 5. So there's a chance that their players get better at defense because they actually have a reason to play harder, but you can't really bet on that for standings. So I think they'll have great offense, and terrible defense. I think they'll win a lot of regular season games against bad teams. Second seed is the Bucks. I think that they may even win a few more regular season games than they have before, simply because no more Sixers. And also, last year they were really saving up for the playoffs because they wanted to win that chip, and they did, and that's good for them, but they might coast this year. Who knows? Giannis could get better at free throws because of less pressure, but that's kind of a crazy fan theory, and we can't really rely on that, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Giannis complete his game that way. Anyway, that leaves the number one team in the East to be the Brooklyn Nets. Even with the Kyrie Irving situation, yes, the Brooklyn Nets are the 1 seed. There is no reason that they can't be the 1 seed. Their defense is actually much improved from the beginning of 2020-2021, where they had horrendous defense. It's improved to the fact where it's just passable. And yes, Kyrie Irving at the moment is not going to play a single game for them, but guess what? They don't need him. If you told me like 5 years ago or like 4 years ago that there was going to be a team with James Harden and Kevin Durant on the same team, both of them still being stars, neither of them are going to be washed, but both of them still being stars, and then decent starters around them and shooters, of course I'd consider that a championship contending team. There's no way that wouldn't be a championship contending team. In fact, they don't really need Kyrie Irving. For a long time, I think that team hasn't really needed Kyrie Irving, and they should trade him, and they should have traded him last year, to be honest, to another team for a good center. Whoever that is, I don't know, but like someone who could definitely anchor the defense. But the fact that he's not playing isn't going to hurt them. In fact, what would hurt them more is him playing half the season, because we don't want that drama. But if he's not going to be playing at all, then I think they're going to be fine. They're still going to take the 1 seed. So those are the full predictions for my Eastern Conference. If you disagree, comment what you think would be different. You can also comment your own list, and I can see what kind of decisions you made. There's obviously a few, out there predictions by me. And, of course, another disclaimer, it's just for fun. It's not real, and it's not really any predictive power. So I'll be posting the Western Conference pretty soon. And subscribe, and see you next time.